I read some stuff from a guy called John Boyd, who was an ex-fighter pilot and has been called the Sun Tzu of America. And when I started to read his stuff, it really brought home to me what really innovation's about. What Boyd said was that if you actually look at trying to outdo your competitor, whilst you may have various tools or means at your disposal, the most important thing is to be able to maintain a faster tempo than your opponent. And when we apply that to business, in a world where the pace of change just keeps going faster and faster and faster, the question is, what's our innovation tempo like? How can we start to operate at a faster tempo? And what I have been talking to a number of organisations about more recently is the notion of unlearning. We've learnt that there's a way of setting up an initiative in an organisation, and that generally tends to be an idea comes up, it might be socialised and circularised, then we do a business case, then we do a plan, and then we take often an extended period to actually get the thing deployed, and it goes out and it doesn't quite work. What we're saying is, actually, how can we do that faster? What's the fastest, quickest way we can bring something to life? You'll often hear in the startup world the notion of the minimum viable product. So not necessarily doing a business case based upon your perceived view of what the world might be looking like, but doing prototypes and experiments to give you some idea of, hey, here's the opportunity here, but the notion of being able to quickly get something out there, look at it, reflect, and then go again. Boyd came up with a concept called the OODA loop, which stands for observe, orient, decide, and act. And he talked about that notion of saying that any given time, we need to be able to observe, we need to be able to orient and look at the various things that are potentially opportunities are in our way, make decisions and act, but then quickly roll back to the observe part again. So the sort of way we talk about it in the centre of the edge is we need to learn faster to move faster. We also have to reflect more to move faster. And when I say reflect, it doesn't exist in the notion of just a simple project status report saying, hey, here's what we said we'd do, here's what we've done, and here's the risks and issues and all that sort of stuff. It's actually real reflection. It's sitting down once a week potentially, or could even be at a faster tempo. That where are we at? What are we learning? Is there any problems we've got? Is there anything in the way? Is there another way we should do this? This idea that we had and we thought it was going to go like this, we're starting to hear and observe and hear from other sources or see from other sources that there is a different way. How are we able to absorb that and continually be more like a fluid movement as opposed to a sort of rigid structure? So I think organisations really need to start to think about how can I reduce the cycle times of innovation. It's interesting, a lot of people think that this potentially is much more risky, but I've been saying quite a bit for in areas where you're working in uncertainty and you're not really sure, which any innovation project is, it's very rare to be able to say, I can, with certainty, guarantee every variable and assumption I make. The whole notion is, let's keep doing and learn as we go, but never bet the farm. And don't become locked into some assumptions that we may have made 6 or 12 months ago based upon what we thought customers would want or how much it was going to cost, continually running through that OODA loop. And what you start to find over time is your capacity to deploy and be successful just happens much faster. People are happier because they're getting that sense of progress. One of the biggest killers of innovation is the sense of not being able to make progress. And many of the organisational processes that we use for traditional methods of doing things, which are very appropriate in certain cases, when we're doing innovation stuff, aren't appropriate. So that's where we need to unlearn some of the old ways, and when we're working in innovation, think much more about tempo, speed, progress, but learning and reflection as a key part of that to reduce our cycle time and give us the opportunity for long-term success.